Hey Frank, I'm just replying to this message. I'm not sure what you mean by also I can't change this question here. Also, I can't change the texture for the rectangle, only the color. The texture is ghosted. Do you know why? I don't know what you mean by that. I don't understand that question. Is this stack demand? There's two ways of seeing it. I think some people would say it is stack demand, and some people say it's not. But I'll bring up this chart here. To me, it's I'd use both of them. I'd call it stack demand or normal supply demand. But if you look at it, proper stack demand, what they say, it's supposed to say you got this demand area here on top of this demand area, a supply area on top of this supply area, and then you got this demand on top of this demand. So that's sort of stacked demand, and that's stacked supply. They're on top of each other. So you got the next demand supply area is close to the first supply area, and the same here. You got another 4 hour. See the orange? That's the 4 hour. That's close to here, which is the weekly. I've got the weekly and the daily on top of each other. So that would be you could have either way. It's up to you how you want to put it. But if you got two on top of each other, I feel that makes the area a lot stronger and solid to go through. But then again, if you got them like this and this together, stacked on top of each other, that could make the area a lot stronger because you imagine it's got to break through this wall and then it's got to try and break through that wall. Most times it might get through the first wall, but it won't get through the second wall. So if you've got a big enough stop, you can have your stop up here and you have your entries all in here. Just keep entering in here. So you could build up a load of orders in here, and short when it eventually falls, you're going to have a nice build up of orders coming down in your direction. So that would be more solid, obviously, on top of each other. But I use either one. I could use the different time frames on top of each other, like you just mentioned in that message. I'd call that stack demand as well. But for a proper stack demand, it's this demand, this supply on top of this supply. So that's the proper way of doing stacked supply, stacked demand, so on. But to me, if you got them on top of each other, it makes a really good solid area. And if you do drop down time frames, you get tighter entries, as you know. So this is like stacked supply here. You got a daily, weekly, and a 4 hour on top of each. So you can virtually short from here and just short all the way through and just put your stop above. You could put it above, where I showed you that one here. So you could put your stop here and just short, just keep adding. And then eventually when it falls, you're going to have a nice big pile of orders going your direction. As for the support and resistance line, I'm not sure what you mean there. With the good thing about supply demand, what you're doing is trading from coast to coast, what I said before. So you're trading from one demand area to one supply area. So you're doing that all the time. Demand, supply, demand, supply. So as you see, price travels between these areas. See here, it's gone from this demand up to this supply, come back down to this demand again, and then back up to this supply again. So you can see it's going coast to coast, the price. And then you can, as always, you can trade the internal coast to coast. So here you've got an hour time frame. From this hourly time frame to that hourly, this hourly demand to this hourly supply. This hourly demand to this 4 hour, this is a 4 hour, see the orange. So this is a 4 hour demand to this 4 hour supply. So you can see it goes coast to coast. It's beautiful. And it's up to you if you want to put the support resistance areas in. A lot of people, as you know, they just trade support and resistance levels. People say this is the same. It is basically the same, but there is different nuances to it because the supply area could just travel up, go up, and then stop in the middle of nowhere, and that'll be your supply. Whereas you don't get a support line. A support resistance lines are only built if you've got clusters of supply and demand. That's the only way they're built. If you haven't got clusters of supply and demand, they're not going to be there. So you got it like here. You can't call this a support resistance line because it's out in the middle of nowhere. It's been created by this supply area. So the price got too expensive and it's reversed. But if you want to do support resistance, they can be effective, as you know. They do work. Go for the main ones, the very obvious ones, just like supply demand. Go for the very obvious ones. So here, you got a nice obvious support resistance level straight through there. See, resistance, support, support, resistance, resistance, support, resistance, support. So go for the very obvious ones, and if you find it hard finding the levels, again, change it to a line graph, and then just where price touches there, just find the most touches. So always, like you were talking to FX Sniffer, I think it was, you mentioned what are the key levels. So this is what he's saying about go for key levels, the very obvious levels. Here's another one here, but to me it's like you're better off, you can just take the very obvious ones. So only because you don't want to have your chart stacked up with a load of supply demand, a load of support resistance levels all over the chart. This way it's nice and clean, the chart, a lot cleaner. And then just trade coast to coast, and then just be aware of these levels. And if you know there's a support resistance level there, what you do, as it breaks at the price, move your stop loss underneath the support and resistance, so that way you can keep trailing your price up, trailing your trade up, and you can use that as a trailing your stop loss up. So that way you got some nice profit, and you got a nice support area sort of holding the price up until it reaches your target. So you can use those support resistances, just add that. But if you just have it in the beginning when you got your trade on, I don't know, I just think it just clutters up your chart. You don't want to have too much stuff on there. And then if you want to get rid of these, just get rid of the indicator. Once you put your boxes on there, your supply demand, just to make it less cluttered, just click close, delete, and there you go. You got a nice cleaner chart. And that way you can see, look at this nice beautiful trade here, coast to coast. But you can see here, this is a nice bullish engulfing, or bearish outside bar, whatever you want to call it. Same thing here, bearish engulfing out of the area, or bearish outside bar, whatever you want to call it. So you got, look, two beautiful trades there, one there, one there. But you can see this stuff works and that if you just trade supply demand. Here again, bullish outside bar, beautiful. So you can see these areas work. They work perfectly. It's just a matter of now just test them, just keep practicing looking at charts and just building on these things, and just look for the best trades you can see. But as you can see, if it doesn't show up anything here, drop down to a lower time frame and try and get in. You can get in earlier entries, because here's a bullish engulfing. You could have got a nice entry here. Here again, you know when I said you get a couple of outside bars engulfing the prior bar, that's like I'd call a bearish engulfing as well. But that's what I mean. Just drop through time frames until you see a good entry. Here's a good entry here. This is what I was saying about the morning star. You got one bearish and a small hammer, pin bar, whatever you want to call it. And then there's your entry there. Come back down. But that's what I mean. Just drop through time frames until you find a good entry. And I don't know, it's up to you if you want to trade a load of pairs. Some people only trade a few. But if you want to trade a load of pairs, that way you can find the best trades. But it's up to you if you want to trade a few pairs and just drop through the time frames and just find your best entries. Okay, mate, see how that goes. Okay, cheers, bye.